There's a photograph sitting on your hard drive right now that you can't fix. You exposed it properly, you composed it carefully, and you waited for the light to arrive. And still, the focus is soft. Not blurry in an obvious way, and not ruined enough to delete, and not sharp enough to matter. The kind of softness that steals texture out of bark, pulls details from moss, and turns intention to almost. And the worst part is this, and you discover it later at home on a larger screen when the moment's already gone. If you've ever come back from the forest feeling confident, only to zoom in and feel your stomach drop, you already understand this problem. Softness compounds and it repeats, and eventually you start doubting your camera. And the real issue is what happened before the shutter even fired. Most photographers believe that sharpness lives in the camera. Sharper lens, new body, more megapixels, but softness rarely comes from gear failures. It comes from small procedural breakdowns that stack together. Sharpness is not created when you press the shutter. It's protected in the seconds before you do. So what I want to do in this episode, and I'm talking to you directly, is walk through the exact routine that I use every time I'm out shooting. Not theory and not settings lists. Real decisions, real adjustments, and real-time verification before I leave the scene. When the camera goes on the tripod, the first thing I look for isn't composition, it's height. If the tripod position is extended high, I lower it. Lower equals stiffer, and stiffer equals less vibration. If the center column is raised, I lower it immediately. The center column is the weakest structural point in the entire system. It turns the camera into a lever, and levers amplify movement. Then I widen the leg stance, and I extend the thickest sections first of the tripod. If I don't need the thinnest leg extensions, I don't use them. In woodland terrain or out in the field, I also check ground contact. Loose bark, moss, and rocks all introduce micro movement. So I physically press the tripod down into the ground and I seat it. If wind is present, I hang a weight from the center hook and I secure the strap so it doesn't swing. And all of this happens before I even think about pressing the shutter, because sharpness starts with stability. Next, I remove any physical interaction from the exposure itself. I don't press the shutter button while the camera's on the tripod. I use a remote release, either wired or wireless. If I don't have one of these, I use a 2-second timer. The goal is the same, no contact with the camera while the exposure begins. Even a gentle finger press introduces vibration, especially in slow shutter speeds. So I eliminate that variable completely. Then I move into mirror control. Inside a DSLR, the mirror flips up before exposure. That internal movement introduces vibration. So I enable mirror lockup, or I use live mode. The mirror will be lifted up, wait a few seconds, then I take the exposure. It's a 2-step process for the exposure. One action to clear the mirror, and one action to record the scene. It's a small change that makes a visible difference in the small details. Now for stabilization. If I'm hand holding a camera, it stays on, always. And if it's on a tripod, I shut it off. Because stabilization systems are always looking for motion. And if they can't find any, sometimes they introduce it. Some systems detect tripod use automatically, and some systems compensate better than others. So if I'm unsure, I test it. One frame with stabilization off, and one frame with stabilization on. Then I zoom into 100% to check which file is the sharpest. But default practice is stabilization off if I'm on a tripod. Let's talk about focus. This is where most softness hides. Nature scenes are busy. Branches cross frames, highlights steal attention, and autofocus often grabs the wrong plane. So I switch to single point focus mode first, and I place that point exactly where the detail matters. If it's bark, then I place it on the bark. And if it's moss, then I place it exactly on the moss, not on the rock underneath. Precision matters, but most of the time I go even further. If nothing in the scene is moving, I switch to manual focus and I activate live view. I magnify the focus area and I rotate the focus ring until everything snaps into clarity. I don't rush it, I watch details sharpen in real time. Manual focus removes the guesswork and sharpness becomes a decision. Then the exposure discipline. ISO goes down to the lowest base whenever possible. Higher ISO introduces noise, gain, grain, and noise introduces microcontrast. Microcontrast is what makes fine details look sharp. So if I need more exposure, I lengthen my shutter time instead of raising ISO because the camera is stabilized. Time is safer than sensitivity when stabilization is controlled. Before I capture, I always check the lens. Forest mist, fingerprints, dust, pollen, all of that creates a thin haze which reduces contrast long before light even reaches the sensor. So I inspect the front of the lens, and if it's dirty, I clean it with a blower first and then a small microfiber cloth. It takes a few seconds, but it protects the image before it even exists. Then I take the shot. Remote in hand, mirror lifted, and no contact with the camera. Then I do something that most photographers skip. I review it properly. I zoom into 100% and I inspect the exact focal plane. And if it's soft, I don't rationalize it, I troubleshoot it immediately. Refocus manually, lower the tripod if needed, turn off the stabilization, wait for the wind to stop, clean the lens if it's needed, and then I reshoot. Then I leave the scene with confirmed sharpness, not assumption. When you adopt this full routine, something measurable happens. Your keeper image rate increases, not just slightly. In my own field work, running this process consistently has increased my keeper rate by a minimum of 35 to 40% of good, sharp images. Not because the light has changed, not because the gear has changed. Because preventable image softness was removed before it even occurred. You stop hoping that your images are sharp, you know that they are before you leave the scene. You stop being someone who takes photographs and you start being someone who prepares photographs. Now, even when you get all of this right, there's one more layer that's waiting. You can have your images technically sharp and they can still fail. Sharpness protects detail and composition creates meaning. So in the next episode, we'll move beyond technical clarity and into structure, leading lines, rule of thirds, visual weight, composition. Because a sharp image without composition will still feel empty. If you want to follow along with this channel and its journey, like the video and subscribe. Keep watching as I document this step by deliberate step. The light doesn't wait, and neither should we.